Hey everyone, welcome back to another Stryd webinar. As always, my name is Evan. I'm your host of the show. Today we're going to be talking all about the brand new Stryd Intro to Power Plan, taking a closer look at the Stryd training ecosystem. We did a couple of webinars last week. We hope you enjoyed those, and we have a few more for you this week. So we're really excited to continue talking about this latest release. Before we dive into all the content that we've prepared today, I would like to ask anybody watching right now on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also turn on notifications to be notified when we do go live for these webinars. Please feel free to give the stream a like. It helps us a lot. And if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the live chat if you're watching live. Then after the fact, you can reply in the comments and we will monitor those and answer any questions that you might have. We're also streaming on our Stryd community on Facebook, and feel free to answer or ask any questions there. We'll either answer them in the comments or we'll answer them on the show at the question and answer segment at the end. Like I mentioned today, we have the Intro to Power Plan. This is a brand new thing in this release, and I'm really excited to give you more information about it. So you might ask yourself, what is the Stryd Intro to Power Plan? It is a 14-day plan, 2-week plan, where you will learn how to use the entire Stryd ecosystem, how to train with power, and how to follow a training plan from start to finish. While designing this, our whole team really wanted to come up with a way where we could not only give somebody a basic primer on how to understand how to use Stryd and all the different things that we have from the mobile app side, from the Power Center side, on your watch, data analysis. We want to teach you to not only how to do that, but how to actually train with power and understand training with power. And then at an even more basic level, what a training plan actually consists of. So these are the three kind of major components of the Stryd Intro to Power Plan: is learning how to use the whole entire Stryd ecosystem, learning how to train with power, and then learning how to follow a training plan from start to finish. Who can use the Stryd Intro to Power Plan? Well, we think that any runner can use this, whether you're new to Stryd, whether you've used Stryd for years and you're returning to training, if you're unsure on how to structure training, if you want an accurate critical power to train with power going forward. The intro plan might sound like it might be too novice if you consider yourself a little bit more advanced Stryd user, but we really think it's useful for runners in any situation. If you've used Stryd for years and you haven't really taken advantage of all the features, or if you are, again, brand new to Stryd, we really think that this first 2 weeks is a fantastic experience to walk you through. We called it last week a run through of all the different features and all the different ways that the Stryd ecosystem kind of works with your running. How do you sign up for the Intro to Power Plan? You can go to your Stryd mobile app, click the settings icon in the bottom right corner, click Training Plans, press the top right corner to add a plan, scroll down to Intro to Power Plan, select your start date, and then press Confirm Plan. Once you press Confirm Plan, you'll be popped up with this graphic on the right side of the screen. The description for the intro plan is the Stryd Introduction to Power Plan will teach you how to follow a power-based plan over a 2-week period. After completion of the intro plan, you should feel confident incorporating Stryd into your day-to-day training. Once you press Select Plan, it will be dropped on your calendar on your selected start date, and the 2 weeks of activities will fill in on your calendar. So again, talking more about the actual content. Again, it's 14 days, and we'll get into the specific day-by-day breakdown, which I'm really excited to talk a little bit more about after, myself and other people on the team working with tons and tons of people going through this intro experience and giving us a ton of feedback. It's 14 days. Not every day is a required run day. Each day focuses on a specific type of run. Each day is a specific description to teach you about another element of Stryd and the Stryd ecosystem. all the descriptions for your runs are effort-based. We think that this is a really unique thing for the Intro to Power plan, and for somebody who might be brand new to Stryd and might not know what running at 100% of their critical power feels like, or they might not know the wattage range. We really wanted to give a effort-based description for this specifically, to get the ball rolling and get you used to noticing what certain efforts feel like and how they line up with certain power numbers based on you. And we also have helpful video links, which can be found expanding on any of the topics we talk about in the descriptions. So this is a very interactive plan for a multitude of reasons, not only giving you specific descriptions of each type of run, why you're doing that run, but descriptions on a different aspect and how it relates to your experience over this 2-week period. And as we've recorded a lot of these webinars, we put this content up on our YouTube channel, and we link out to that in the plan in case any of these days or these topics seem really, really interesting to you. We want to give you a little bit more information in case you want to watch one of these longer form videos on these specific subjects. So definitions of efforts. We have 5 general efforts in the plan. We have very easy, moderate, hard, and very hard. And I wanted to talk about this very briefly at the beginning, so we're kind of on the same page. A very easy description is always, and again, I should preface, all of these descriptions are going to be based on you and your personal sensation, personal feeling. A very easy run could be something like a 1 to a 2 on a RPE scale, or something where you feel like you're not working super hard. It is very, very sustainable, very easy. Easy, just a little notch above that. Moderate is a medium intensity where you feel like you're pushing a little bit. It's harder than an easy, sustainable effort, but you don't feel like you're depleting yourself. A hard effort and very hard, these are going to be reserved for different types of runs through the Stryd intro plan. And these are going to be the test efforts where we're looking for different power outputs at different durations, and we're filling out your power duration curve. The hard and very hard are going to be used in conjunction with those test days to give us the most information about you. A hard run and very hard, these kind of float between different durations and an effort. So if we said, run very hard for a minute, you probably understand already, even without, putting your running shoes on, going out the door, what that might feel like. But if we say run very hard for a 5K, it doesn't necessarily mean run that same exact sprint, that same exact super hard effort from the get-go for your entire 5K. So knowing these definitions and how they are used in context is a really important thing. But I wanted to, again, explain that when you do see the efforts in the plan, you should have an understanding that there is a range from very easy, moderate, hard, and very hard. The very easy and easy are usually reserved for the recovery or easy days. Moderate is used a couple times in the plan to fill out a part of your power duration curve. And then hard and very hard are reserved for some of the intensity days, and the days that help us understand about your critical power and your power duration curve. So talking from day 1 through day 14, this is going to be a kind of mini preview of what you might expect in the Stryd intro to power plan. The first workout is going to be 10 minutes at a very easy effort, 2 minutes very hard, and a 10-minute very easy effort. This is going to be a run total of 22 minutes, and the information along with this day is going to be the power duration curve. And so we'll start to explain to you what it might look like as we start to add more efforts over time, and the concept of a power duration curve. This is, I think, a great way to start out learning about Stryd. Again, if you're brand new, if you have used Stryd and you haven't really understood the power duration curve fully, this is a great example on how you can actually illustrate a power duration curve in one singular run. You'll notice that the 2-minute section that you run very hard, you should be able to output a much higher power for those 2 minutes than you can for the 10-minute warm-up section or for the entire 22-minute run. This starts to introduce the concept and the familiarity of power and duration, and this will help you as you go forward in the plan. Day 2 is a optional easy run, and we suggest 30 minutes. I do want to say right now that in this plan, we have a general suggestion of 30 minutes on the optional easy days. You can choose to run on this day. You can choose to cross-train as we give you more information about cross-training on this day. You can run more if you want. You can run less if you want. We give a general recommendation of about 30 minutes for your easy effort and your easy run on day 2. The important thing that I want to highlight here is that this is touching again on another point of a hard, intense day. The day before, again, day 1, you did that 10-minute warm-up, 2 minutes very hard, 10-minute cool down. When we typically have hard, intense sessions, we have a recovery day afterwards. We don't necessarily run every single run all out or run it at a tempo effort or run a quality segment every single day. We have to balance different types of training. And this is another way that the Stryd Intro to Power plan helps you understand this specific type of training. Doing intensity, following that with recovery, making sure you're recovered before the next bout of intensity. So day 2, optional easy run, 30 minutes suggested information that we'll talk about on this day is cross training. And I also do want to say now, if you are just tuning in, if you have any questions about structure, any of the runs on the intro plan, please feel free to send those along to us, and we would love to answer those at the end of the presentation. Day 3, we're going to come back with another intense day. This is going to be a 20-minute very easy warm-up, 1 minute very hard, and then 9 minutes very easy. We're going to continue to expand on the concept of the power duration curve because this is so fundamental to understanding the full Stryd ecosystem and how the power duration curve is used. The illustration that I really like for this specific example is taking the power, the average power that you output on the first day for 2 minutes, and making it your goal for the 1 minute segment to exceed that power. And again, illustrating in your own personal running the concept of power duration. If you're running for a shorter duration, a less period of time, 1 minute, you should be able to output more power than you did for 2 minutes. And this is really, really fundamental, again, in understanding the concept of power duration and the power duration curve. Day 4, you guessed it, we're going to come back with an optional easy run, again, balancing those hard efforts, coming back with an easy day. We did another hard effort, and so day 4 means we're going to come back with another easy run. Again, this is a general suggestion of a 30-minute easy effort, but you can feel free to do less, do more, cross-train like we talked about on day 2. On day 4, the information we'll provide are going to be about the basic metrics in the Stryd ecosystem. So we'll talk about power, pace, cadence, and heart rate. And then heart rate, I do want to make a note here. It's dependent on how runners record with Stryd. So if you're using a compatible watch with Stryd and you have your heart rate data collected, we're just going to show you whatever heart rate data is collected from that accessory that you are recording with. If you are using another form where it's not recording heart rate, we don't collect heart rate. So I just want to make an important distinction there, but we'll give you basic definitions of power, pace, cadence, and heart rate on day 4. Day 5 comes back with another easy run, again, 30 minutes suggested. And at this point, the main focus is not necessarily going to be about the intensity on this day. It's going to be about the concept of auto-calculated critical power. By now, you have enough runs for us to start to give you a critical power number, and this should morph and evolve as we get more data over time. This is really important to show you that as you continue to add more and more data to the Stryd ecosystem, your auto-calculated critical power gets more and more accurate. So day 5, auto-calculated critical power, there's a great video along with this that I really do suggest people watch, where myself and Gus go through a full explanation about how to maintain and keep a valid auto-calculated critical power. Day 6 is another easy run, and we'll talk about Stryd power zones. After you have an auto-calculated critical power, you'll start to generate a couple of different things in the Stryd ecosystem. The first that we're going to talk about, again, being Stryd power zones. We have zones native in our ecosystem from zone 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And these are all based on different percentages of your critical power. You'll see your zones in the Stryd mobile app. You'll see them on stryd.com/powercenter. And depending on how you are using Stryd, you can see them on your watch while you're running as well. It's important to understand this concept in percentages of critical power, and then see, again, as your auto-calculated critical power adjusts over time over the course of this plan, you'll see your Stryd power zones adjust accordingly. Day 7 wraps up the first week of training with a little bit longer extended run. This is a 45-minute easy run. The information that we give here is running stress score, and this is going to be another concept that's branched off of Stryd's auto-calculated critical power. When we talk about stress on the body, specifically in the Stryd ecosystem, we have a metric called running stress score, which looks at your second-by-second power output and relates that to your auto-calculated critical power. Based on how long you're running in terms of duration, based on the intensity that you're running in terms of the power that you're outputting, running stress score gives you a great metric to track along no matter what type of training you're doing. If you're running a lot of longer, very easy efforts, or if you're mixing in some of this high intensity, running stress score and the information and the description that we give about running stress score, or RSS as it's abbreviated, is a great way to understand the different types of stress that is being generated in your running. In the Stryd mobile app, we do default to showing you your running stress score, but you can also view distance, duration, and elevation gain in the mobile app from your My Training screen, which is your home screen, and you can look and see how these types of metrics relate to each other. You might run a lot more mileage one week in terms of distance covered, but that intensity might be very low. So you might be able to see your RSS, your running stress score, drop while your mileage goes up, and you might be able to see different trends over time. But day 7 wraps up the first week by introducing things like the power duration curve, which is so fundamental and so important, and then introducing the auto-calculated critical power, which then gives you Stryd power zones and running stress score. Day 8 starts off the second week with a little bit longer run in a type of mixed intensity. So when we talk about this sort of mixed intensity, again, we're illustrating the power duration relationship. We'll warm up for 5 minutes at a very easy effort on day 8. Then we'll run a 20-minute hard segment. We typically like to recommend an effort that you think you could maintain for about 30 to 40 minutes. So this is not a very hard all-out effort. This is just a harder sustained block of running, and we want to get that point on your power duration curve, and we want to understand that sort of medium duration, medium intensity. And this will be a great primer for the end of the week to give you something to go off of for the 5K time trial that comes up at the end of the plan. Then we'll follow that up with a 5-minute very easy segment. You can feel free to walk, run this, walk, jog, run at an easy effort. And then we'll do a 30-second very hard effort followed by a 5-minute very easy effort. So I talked about this already in 2 of the other efforts we did, talking about the 2-minute segment and the 1-minute segment. You can probably guess that I'm going to say the same thing. For the 30-second segment, we're going to aim to best the power from our 1-minute segment the week before in the plan. So again, illustrating the specific power duration relationship, the power duration curve. And then this run, we also did notice during a lot of testing that most people, their auto-calculated critical power actually did increase and get pretty darn accurate after this 20-minute hard segment. So we talk about maintaining auto-calculated critical power in training and knowing what separate factors go into having a accurate and consistent auto-calculated critical power. Day 9, like we're probably pretty familiar with a intense day the day before, we'll come back with a optional easy run. We suggest 30 minutes. This is at a very easy effort to make sure you recover. The information we provide here is information about what we call advanced metrics, which you can find in the Stryd mobile app, and you can also find on Stryd Power Center. These metrics that we go into are form power, air power, ground contact time, vertical oscillation, and leg spring stiffness. I'm not going to go through a full definition of each of these metrics as we've done these in past webinars, but the description on day 9 gives you plenty of information about all of these advanced metrics. Day 10 comes up with a 30-minute moderate section. So we'll run a 30-minute effort. If you are clueless about how to pace this, how to do this, again, we said this is somewhere between easy and hard. So somewhere in between that, this would probably be something that if you had to go out and race a 70 to 80 minute race, a 90-minute effort, this might be 30 minutes at about that approximate effort. It's something that's sustainable for 30 minutes at a time, but it's a higher intensity than your easy effort and lower intensity than your hard effort. The information that we talk about here is your running stress balance. And we tell you about running stress balance and how it's a relationship between different time periods and your running stress score. So again, tying in more of that complete concept of the Stryd ecosystem. Day 11, we come back with another workout. Here we have a 20-minute easy warm-up, and then we have a 5-minute hard section, and then we have a 9-minute easy cool down. The information that we give here is about changes in your auto-calculated critical power. During testing, we did notice some people had a change in their auto-calculated critical power because of the type of power duration relationship they were able to provide based on this 5-minute hard section. So you might notice this sometimes in training if different parts of your power duration curve aren't necessarily in line with your actual ability because you haven't done all-out efforts for those different types of durations. We want to explain that that reasoning and why that's happening, and then give you information about how to fix that. So we talk about changes in auto-calculated critical power on day 11. Day 12, again, you guessed it, is an optional easy run with 30 minutes suggested and an easy effort. The information we provide here is information about the Stryd Race Power Calculator, which you can find in your Stryd mobile app, and you can also find on stryd.com/power center. We go all in the details about planning a race and looking at the Race Power Calculator and how to best use it for your benefit, because the next day, drum roll please, is a 5-kilometer time trial. And this is probably one of the most exciting things that you can do in a plan. There's a great quote of testing is training. And so we talk about testing efforts in training and making sure that our fitness is actually in line with where we believe it to be. So the workout for day 13 is a 5-minute easy warm up, a 3-minute hard section, which should not be very hard or all out. It should be just a little bit harder than your moderate effort. And this is really to prime you to run fast for your 5K. We'll then run a 2-minute very easy, or we'll do a run walk, we'll walk, take whatever rest you need to get ready for a 5-kilometer very hard. So this is pretty much as in line with a all-out effort as you can possibly do, with some considerations. We've talked a lot on this webinar series about different ways to approach time trials. And one of the best ways that we've had a time trial recommended is by Coach Tom Schwartz. When he was on the webinar, he talked specifically about 5-kilometer time trials and how you can target a time trial to give yourself the best potential chance of running well in this time trial and making sure that your fitness is accurately represented by your time trial result. We get into this in the testing efforts and training, and we also have a lot of great resource videos on this YouTube channel about how to run your best time trial. Basically, we break it down and say the first 20% of the race, or the first kilometer, you should be slightly below your goal. And your goal you should have gotten from the race power calculator the day before, as we read through that full description. The next 3 kilometers, so the next 60% of the race, will run at our goal range, if not slightly below to slightly above. We want to stick right around that goal range to give yourself the best ability in the last 20% of the race or that last kilometer to finish well, finish strong, give yourself the best chance to run and represent your fitness as you are in your current shape. Then we'll cool down for 10 minutes. And we talk a lot about these different, again, types of efforts. But the thing that I really like, again, reflecting on this plan, is that on day 13, going forward, you have a great warm-up routine for any future 5Ks, any future 10Ks, any future races. We talk about the concept of warming up, doing a little bit of a pickup to make sure that your body isn't stale and cold and you haven't done any sort of race effort running before you aim for a personal best or aim for a race. We talk about recovering before the race. We talk about specifically the type of effort you should be able to put forward and how it connects back to the race power calculator and how to best run your race or time trial effort to make sure you give yourself the best chance to run and represent your current ability. And then we talk about cooling down. So day 13 is my favorite day in the plan because it gives us a very accurate auto-calculated critical power. And we'll talk about day 14 and what is next. Again, like we mentioned, we have an optional easy run with 30 minutes suggested. And we talk all about what comes next. What is the next thing that you should do after completing the 2-week Stryd Intro to Power plan? We have a bunch of great native plans in in this latest training plan release that you can find in the same sort of sign-up flow. But we go into full detail about what you might be able to target if you have different types of goals, and we tell you specifically how to get onto those next paths and figure out what comes next for you. And then also congrats, because we started at day 1, we started with a couple test efforts. We worked our way through 2 weeks of consistent training. You learned a lot along the way. So congrats are in order and congratulations are in order. Because you reached the end of the plan, we learned how to follow a plan from start to finish and different things that make up different training plans. So a absolutely great, day 1 to day 14 leaves you wondering what comes next for you. And we really want to go, again, into full description about what comes next and what you can do to, keep going and keep that fitness rolling for the next plan that you decide to hop on. We have 3 takeaways here. And the takeaway number 1 is all about learning the basics of running power. We're not just collecting data. We want you to read the full descriptions. We want you to understand the concept of the power duration model. We want you to understand how different efforts impact, again, your power duration curve, how your zones might change over time, how you can best use the race power calculator and understand how a race effort might look at different types of durations. So takeaway number 1 is learning the basics of running power and not just collecting the data and not looking at any of it. Takeaway number 2 is a variety of max efforts are important. This helps Stryd and the entire ecosystem learn about you as a runner. So we illustrate in this 14-day plan a variety of efforts from 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes moderate, and a 5K time trial to fill out different points in your power duration curve to give us as much information as we can possibly squeeze into in a realistic way in a 2-week plan. Again, this helps us learn. It also helps you learn about the importance, again, of a variety of max efforts. Takeaway number 3 is that the intro to the power plan sets the stage for success. You have to lay the foundation before you ramp up. This is, again, incredibly important, as the intro to power plan can be a springboard for any type of runner, and it can help them understand how to best use Stryd in any of the training, whether you're following a native Stryd training plan or whether you're working with a coach, you're designing your own training, you're wanting to understand, again, more about how to use Stryd in different ways and use that full ecosystem to your full advantage. So the intro to power plan sets the stage for success going forward by laying the foundation before you ramp up. The other thing that I want to comment here is that we talked a lot about some of the easy days being, 30 minutes or an optional day or a day that you can do cross training. We wanted to really give a flexible plan for the recovery days for some people who might be used to running a little bit more volume. But the purpose of this plan is, again, to illustrate different points on your power duration curve, help you get an auto-calculated critical power that's accurate, and teach you along the way. So it's not necessarily a plan just focused on pumping up the volume and getting you to run a lot. It's teaching you about the specifics, the specificity, and all the different things that make up a plan, and then teaching you how to use those and incorporate those in your training. So that was the third takeaway. It is available now. This is part, again, of a webinar series where we are talking in depth and in detail about different things in this latest release. We're so excited to finally have this out there. I know I'm super excited to be able to be talking about it, but this is available now. Like I mentioned at the very beginning, you can go to your Stryd mobile app, you can go to settings, then you can go to training plans, click the top right corner, the plus button, and then add the Stryd intro plan, select the date to start it, and then confirm the plan. And you will be able to go through this 2-week period and learn all about Stryd, get a very accurate auto-calculated critical power, and set yourself up for success. Other thing we want you to know is that if you're watching and you do not already have Stryd, you can purchase it today at store.stryd.com. And then I believe it is time for any potential questions. It looks like producer Kaylee has sent a couple in, so I will use this as a last call for any questions that we might have. If you already have an auto CP set in the intro to power plan, should you run at the CP in the guide or run by feel to set a new or adjust your current CP? This is a great question. So if you're a new user, like we mentioned, you might be a new user. If you're a older user and you've had Stryd for a bit, you already have an auto-calculated critical power, we would probably suggest, if you already have an auto CP, to keep using that number to give you a little bit more information, but keep reading through the full descriptions. And over time, over the course of this plan should get you to the point where your auto-calculated critical power is as accurate as possible with the mix and the variety of workouts. If you miss a day in the training plan, is there a way to push the day plan back a day, or is it permanently in the Stryd calendar? You can reschedule the workout in the Stryd mobile app. This is a great feature, and we understand through testing, but also being runners ourselves, that things come up, you might need to move things around. This was one of the tenets and the cornerstones and the fundamentals of this release, is understanding how training plans work, how training works, but being able to give you, some of these select features, like being able to reschedule a day that we run into in our day-to-day lives as runners as well. So you can absolutely reschedule. And I do want to say right now too that our support team has worked super hard. Design team, software team has worked really hard on helpful user documentation and user guides for any of these features. So you can go to stryd.com/support and you can find any of those specific help documents there. A next question here is 14-day plan equals the 2-week plan or 14-day duration. You may spread out over a new period. So right now, everything gets put in a 14-day period. And again, like we mentioned, if you do need to reschedule something, you can absolutely reschedule something. The next question here is, should you run in certain power zones during the intro plan? So the thing that I want to say here too is there's a couple different considerations. We tried to make this plan as robust as possible and fit as many different cases that we possibly could. The intro plan is designed to walk you through the process of establishing an accurate critical power, and the training plans rely on critical power to customize your daily training, provide you with those power targets with the zones. Therefore, you'll not have a power target during the 2-week intro plan until you have an established auto-calculated critical power. But the intro plan is designed to get you there as quick as possible, and then used it as a springboard to go into another plan. How accurate is the critical power derived from this plan compared to keeping my own schedule? For example, 4 days a week, long run, easy run segments combo. This is a great question. We did a lot of testing, a lot of different considerations, and we found that the balance, again, of a 30-second, 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute hard, running very hard for those sections, running a 20-minute moderate effort, and then running a 5K time trial, we found that this gave us a great balance to have an accurate critical power. So we do believe that the critical power derived from this plan is accurate, but we also have a couple other full webinars on how you might specifically, if you even don't do the intro plan, you're watching this and you say, well, I don't necessarily want to go through this. We have, like I mentioned, a couple great webinars on the subject of establishing and maintaining a valid auto-calculated critical power. Another question here is, does the intro plan on the treadmill versus outside change how you would do it or the numbers you might get? Would you run it both indoors and outdoors if you do both? This is a fantastic question, and this is very relevant for people in the Northern Hemisphere right now if we are heading into winter, as much as I like winter. I was going to say, as I hate to say it, but I do like winter. I like running in the snow and the cold, and specifically on the treadmill. Treadmill running is going to be a little bit more relevant if your environment around you is changing. So we've actually done a podcast, and there's a couple great articles on establishing a treadmill critical power versus having an outdoor critical power. Steve Palladino put together some great stuff, and we do have a podcast on that as well. And producer Kaylee says that she can link out to our past podcasts on treadmill running and critical power. We have another question here from James, getting an intro plan into Training Peaks. So it's not yet possible for us to export the actual Stryd training plans into Training Peaks, but you can follow the Stryd intro plan and have that data pushed to Training Peaks afterward. No problem, just as normal. If during the month something happens that makes us stop the plan, we can start it back up when we're able to run again. This is a great question. You can pause the training plan in the Stryd mobile app. Again, we went through a lot of testing internally with ourselves, and we asked ourselves, what are the important features that we need to have in all of these training plans? What type of features do we need to have alongside it? Being able to pause a training plan is absolutely something that you can do in the Stryd mobile app if you go to the training plan section in the settings. Again, that was the last call for any questions. Kaylee says, no more questions. Thank you, producer Kaylee. This wraps it up. Again, I do want to thank you for watching. Anybody tuning in live, we do appreciate it. Please, again, feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel, give this video a thumbs up, turn on the notifications to get notified when we go live in the future. You can always follow us on social media at Stryd Running. We love interacting with people there. And if you have any questions, you can always email us at support@stryd.com. This wraps it up for the Stryd Intro to Power Plan webinar. We'll be back tomorrow for Insights, which I am so excited to talk about. This is one of my favorite additions in this release. I keep saying that for every single one of these, is that, oh yeah, this feature is one of my favorites. It's because this is such a great release that we get to talk about things that we really do enjoy. So we will see you back here tomorrow for tomorrow's topic, all about insights. Have a great rest of the day, anybody watching live, and we'll be back tomorrow. Bye-bye.